Hello guys, and welcome back to Tef's Travails. Today's little task is to change the oil on the Hyundai lawnmower here and check another few bits and pieces on it. Last time I used it I did a oil level check and I noticed that there was a slight metallic colour to what was on the dipstick, so I think it's probably time for a change. I've never changed it in the 2 years that I've owned it, and I don't know when it was done under the previous ownership, so it's time to pour it out, have a look at what comes out and see if anything needs replacing. So I'm just going to take it outside the garage, run it to warm it up for a few minutes because the oil is always easier to pour out when it's slightly warm, and then I'll set everything up. What I've done here, I've just propped it up on a little bit of wood just to get the mower on a bit of an angle, as you can see there. Reason for that is the drain plug is right here, and I don't want it to be level when I open it, otherwise it will all spill out. And you are, on this model, you're lucky in having a drain plug because quite a few of these don't have one anymore, and you just have to drain it out via the fill point, which means pretty much turning the machine upside down, which can be pretty difficult. But to make it a bit easier, I'm going to take out the drain plug, and then hopefully the wheels will land back down on these two bits of wood, which will give it the height to drain it off, just pour it straight off into the drain pan. So this is the drain plug. It's a 10mm socket. It's quite loose, so let's hope when we take this out nothing spills out. If it does, I'll have to put it straight back and have a rethink. Okay, right, that's good. So we'll just put that down there, and we'll try and pour this out in one easy movement, which has failed disastrously. What a mess. Okay, so the moral of that story is probably don't do it like this. But what you can see is the colour of what's coming out. You can definitely see a very, very metallic bloom coming out of there, and some quite strange behaviours there. I'll drain this off fully and we'll have a good look at that oil because that does not look right. Okay, so I would not recommend doing it like that. That was a complete disaster. There is now oil all over the place, and some, at least, has gone in the drain pan. But what you can see of it is that there is a very definite sort of bloom to it, and that metallic sheen, if you like, is tiny little pieces of steel and aluminium, and they've only come from one place, which is inside the engine. And there's not a lot we can do about it now. You know, if the engine is that worn, we can't fix it. I mean, you know, the best we can hope for is that this is the original oil, and this is what's worn off in the running in procedure, and no one's bothered to change it since. Best thing we can do for it is change it for some good oil, and treat it gently in the future. Okay, so I cleaned up the mess a bit, put the drain plug back in, and poured all the oil into this jug. So you can see it's very, very black, and it looks like the sort of colour you'd expect from diesel oil. So I'm going to comfort myself with the assumption that this is the original oil from when it was built. It's never been changed, and certainly not changed since it was run in, and that could be the cause of the metal contamination. At least that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. In my service manual it doesn't say how much oil to put back in, which is the other reason I put it into this jug. So you can see we got about half a litre there, so I'll work towards that assumption. Gradually pour oil back in and keep checking the dipstick so I don't overfill it and have to spill and make a mess of the driveway again. Okay, so I've gradually been topping it up from this little jar here, just so I don't overfill it and don't have to go through the mess of emptying out again. And afterwards I'll let it settle for a bit, wipe off the dipstick, and then check the level again. Yeah, we're pretty much I'd say about 3/4 up the dipstick there. What I'm going to do now is run the machine gently for a few moments, and then let it settle out again, and then check it again, and then top up if necessary. Okay, so I topped up the oil, let it run for a bit, and it seems to have stabilised near the top of the dipstick, so that's fine. Another couple of things I'm going to check whilst we're here is the state of the air filter, which is contained in here. So we'll just take that off, have a look at that. That is not too bad. So just see if there's anything trapped between here. I'll give it a look on both sides. No, just give it a bit of a tap out. Any bits of grass that are in there can fall off, and there's nothing too concerning in there. So we'll pop that back in, and then we will have a look at the spark plug. Okay, so the spark plug is at the front of the engine here, just in between the cylinder head and the exhaust. So you just pull off the lead. You need a plug spanner for this, very simple little box spanner. Place it over it, put something through the hole, and use that to undo it, and then remove it by hand. We're doing this because taking a look at the plug gives you a good overview of the general health of the engine, how the fuel is burning, whether or not there's oil getting into the top of the cylinder and the combustion chamber and that sort of thing. So if we can focus, yeah, we can see what's generally called a light tan colour around the top of the plug and the electrode. There's no corrosion on the electrode itself. It's not wet with oil or excessively fouled with petrol. There's no damage to the insulator, which is the lighter coloured thing surrounding the electrode underneath the top electrode. So I've got no huge concerns about that. So that can go back in, and then I'll just show you something else which I think is worth noting as well. So on this type of mower, the way that it picks up grass and throws it back into the collection bag there, is that the blades are shaped in such a way, you can see that they're turned up slightly at the end. They're shaped in order to create an airflow, and the shape of this deck here is also responsible for that as well. It creates an airflow which sort of sucks up the clippings and throws them out the back into where the bag will be. This wasn't doing that very well. It was all getting stuck. It was bundling up in the back here, not picking them up, and leaving trails of grass clippings along the floor. The reason for that is that this whole area here was completely clogged with grass, dry grass, that had then probably got wet when it was used the next time and sort of congealed into a really hard, tough mess. So I cleaned it out. I used the hose, sprayed some fairly high pressure, just from the normal hose, but fairly high pressure from a spray gun down onto there, and that cleared it out. And so what I'll be doing each time then is making sure there's no grass stuck in here, and that will help to create the airflow and make sure it picks up the cuttings. Final thing I've got to do is make a little repair to this foam handle here. It's got worn out and broken and is getting uncomfortable to hold, so I'm just going to wrap a bit of this fabric tape around it and tidy it up a bit. Well, there you go guys, that's the job done. Handles look a bit smarter now and probably won't fall apart quite so soon. Look, that's the end of this video. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for watching how to change your oil and check various things on a petrol lawnmower like this. Hopefully my little mistake with the oil there will give you some tips to avoid when changing your own, and you won't end up redecorating your driveway like I have. If you have enjoyed this video, please hit subscribe. It's helpful for me because it shows what people like and what people don't like, and if people like this sort of thing, I'll make a bit more. Hopefully see you soon.